Hello, welcome to our Genetic Alliance webinar. This is Vaughn Edelson. I will be presenting today in the Strategies for Success series, Does It Run in the Family? A new customizable online tool. Genetic Alliance has recently launched a whole suite of new online tools, and this is just one of them. I'll encourage you to check out the others as well, our resource repository in particular. But for now, I'm going to give you a demo of this new family history tool that is designed for individuals, families, and communities and organizations, really anyone to create customized family health history materials, resources for your families and communities. An introduction. So we have this website that produces these two booklets. It's the online version of these booklets, A Guide to Family Health History and A Guide for Understanding Genetics and Health. A Guide to Family Health History gives some basic information on family health history, what it is, why it's important, how you can use it, how you can collect it, and how you can share it. And the second booklet gives the basic genetics 101, along with some information on conditions that run in families. So we've customized these booklets with many of our community organization partners, and now this online tool gives any individual family community the opportunity to customize it as well. So just some basics. Family health history is a tool in and of itself. It captures heredity, diet, and environment because it takes into account your lifestyle and behavior choices in addition to your genetics. It allows a healthcare provider to diagnose conditions, increases genetics knowledge, and promotes conversations about health in the family. That is the point in particular that we were trying to get at with our project and this tool, is getting people to talk at the most basic level about health in the family and in the community, because a lot of stigma does exist for a lot of families. You know, they talk about the aunt with cancer, but it's very hush-hush, and it doesn't go any farther than that. But to make positive choices for your own health, you need to know about your history. So we want people talking within the family and also with providers. You need to have that open relationship in order to have good care as well. So looking at this, we have a very broad definition of community. Basically, any group of people united by anything: geography, culture, race, ethnicity, shared health condition, a shared interest. For all of our community partners represent a range on this kind of spectrum of what is community. As long as you identify with a group of people, you share something in common with them, they're your community. And that's the angle we took for this project. So all those different communities, whether it's the racial ethnic community, geographic community, disease-specific community, is going to have a different access point to health information. And family health history is a great way to approach health in general. We see it as the connection between your daily life and your health, and also as the bridge between health and genetics. Family health history was a great way for different types of communities to access health and to access genetics. So people can come at it from all these different angles. In creating this online tool out of these hardcover booklets that we've been working with communities to customize, we wanted something that would be accessible to a broader range of people. So the booklets need to be accessible in two ways. One, in terms of their content. It needs to have personal health stories and photos that are relevant to people, that make sense, that they can relate to. But also, it needs to be accessible in terms of being able to get your hands on it. You know, not everyone's going to want to carry around a hard copy with them, these two booklets, so it needs to be online in a PDF form, something you can email, and something you can easily start and come back to. You know, in this age of all these Web 2.0, social networking, Twitter, the Surgeon General just recently updated their family health history tool. It needs to be interactive and in real time, so that's what we were going for. These are the basic goals and objectives of our whole project, which started about 3 years ago at this point, to promote conversations about health within the family, translate those family health history conversations into healthy choices, and then increase community involvement in health education. So through this tool, not only do we want people to increase conversations within the family and with the healthcare provider, we want them to be more empowered about their own health, to be stewards of their own health. These are all the partners we've had so far who have customized the booklets and worked on different family health history initiatives. And as you can see, they represent a range of different communities. to get to the point of this webinar today, the online customizable Does It Run in the Family Toolkit. There are several portions in each booklet that are customizable listed here, and I will show you those in just a minute. The tool can be found at either familyhealthhistory.org or doesitruninthefamily.com. Same tool, two different URLs, two different ways to access it. So here we go. I will skip the registration feature because that should be pretty straightforward. Go ahead and log in. And here we are. I will start with book 1. And again, if you have any questions as we're going along, if something is confusing or doesn't make sense, or if you're following along at home and something's not working for you, just chime in and let me know. And we are dealing with an internet tool, so hopefully our internet's going to run quickly today. But starts you off, we have these characters. You'll see throughout the book there are these illustrations. Book 1 does contain some photos, but in general it's these illustrations because we knew going in that we couldn't fill the book with enough pictures to represent everyone. So we wanted to abstract it while still allowing people to create families on here that look something like their own. So there are 5 characters on the front cover. You can build a family of up to 5 people. We have a range of different characters you can choose from. You can customize the skin and hair color so that it looks a little bit more like you. You can also change the hairstyle of most of the characters. I'll just do a couple more of these. Make our little family. And for this family, I only want 3 characters. It's a 3-person family for me, so I'm just going to remove the other 2. Now, the organization name here on the bottom, I'll do Genetic Alliance, but as I said, this can be made for an organization, a community. I plan to do the Edelson family version, so you can put anything you want in these spots. Moving along, we have a couple of spaces for quotes from community members. Again, all of these parts that are customizable, the stories and the photos and the quotes, are to give the people who are ultimately going to be reading and using the booklets something to relate to. If they see a quote from a prominent member of their community, it will draw them in and get them engaged. So for our quotes and stories, as well as conditions when we get to book 2, we have libraries for you to choose from. We encourage you to put in quotes from your own family, your own community, but if you can't think of anything that you like the way it sounds, we have plenty of people here who have lots of experience in health and genetics and family history who have provided their quotes for us. Wendy Bailey was our partner at ABC7 when we did a public service announcement on family and health history recently, and she submitted her quote about breast cancer. So I'll select that one for us today. And that's a note, anything that you put into the tool, it won't get saved. It only gets saved as your booklet. It doesn't automatically get entered into the library if you enter your own quote. Someone asked this question. So if you enter your own quote, it doesn't automatically get added to the database. We are not looking at the things that are in any individual's booklets at all. That's only saved for you with your login. But if you would like your quote to be submitted to the library, we would certainly welcome that, and you just have to email fhh@geneticalliance.org. That's FHH for Family Health History at geneticalliance.org for anything, for the quotes, for the stories, for condition pages. If you want anything to be added to our library, we are happy to do that, to receive it, and you just have to email us. And again, if you want to put in your own quote, you just write one in. I want to learn my family health history so it can help me make healthy lifestyle choices. Not great thinking on the spot, but here. So pretty easy to enter your own or to choose from what we have. Same thing for the stories. Here you have the option to enter your own story or to choose one, and we have them, our library divided into several categories based on different conditions, based on the perspective of the person who's telling the story, early adult, more mature adult, childhood, and you can customize the stories from the libraries. With those quotes, the quotes from people, you're not allowed to edit those because they're what people said, but for these, this happens to be, let's see, an early adult female talking about hypothyroidism. Well, I want to change this to something else. I could put in a different condition here. Same thing for all of these. You can edit them to be about, if it's a female talking about cancer, breast cancer, you can change it to be about a male talking about prostate cancer. It's just for you, again, if you're not even sure where to begin with the story, these are a good base. We have a whole range of conditions, a whole range of perspectives on changing your lifestyle or collecting a family health history or starting a family health history. If you're adopted, for example, those are all in here just as a base and as a starting point for you to take them and make them your own. And that's really the theme throughout this whole tool. Our point in creating it was for you to be able to make it your own. We have suggestions here for starting places, but really it's all about you, the individual, the community, taking it and customizing it so that it makes sense for you. And here, just again, we have, a range of photos to choose from. Hopefully we covered all the races and ethnicities. We will be looking as the tool develops more to add more photos, more stories. But for now we have these to choose from. So she looks happy here. I'll choose her. You can crop the photos so that only certain portions show up. You can do this with photos you upload from your desktop as well. And we are just launching this tool, so we are really welcome everyone's feedback. As I said, if you want to submit stories, we invite you to do so, stories and quotes. But if you just have any comments or questions about how it's working, suggestions for improvement, we are very welcome to those as well. Our goal in designing this was to make it the most user-friendly tool as possible, so that's what we're striving for. You can use either these arrows on the side or these arrows at the top to navigate through the booklets. We have another space for quotes here. Here you can add a couple conditions to this list of things to look for under health history. Now here's something to note. For these, right now you can see that it says add your own in this kind of glowing yellow box. If I leave this here, if I leave it blank, I don't have anything to add, it's going to still say add your own here, and that's just a feature of, I guess, how the Flash application works. I was told by our developers. But when you go to download and print, that spot will be blank. It won't say add your own in the list. It'll just be clear. So don't get nervous when you see that flashing. Same for the back cover of the book. When we get to that point, if you don't have all the information, fax, email, phone to add, don't worry about it showing up later. Another customizable portion is the send a questionnaire paragraph. I think for some communities that we worked with in the past, the idea of this questionnaire sent out with the holiday newsletter just didn't resonate. So some removed it, some changed it. A couple of the disease groups we worked with put in information about their registries and getting information that way. So this can be edited depending on your community and how the normal modes of communication, what would work best. There are several slots for the personal health stories in here that really allow you to get a range of different perspectives included. If it's for one specific condition that you're customizing the booklets for, you can talk, one story can talk about diagnosis, one story might talk about treatment, one story might talk about management, all the different angles of a condition. And then if it's more broad, you can feature different types of conditions and different types of stories. Adoption is another one, as I mentioned. Different angles. Again, it's this idea of all these different access points to health. We want many different features to draw people into the story, to really get them engaged. So these 5 thoughts for the personal health stories and photos in book 1. And then some sample questions. This book really gets at, why is family health history important, and how do I start collecting it? That's with the questionnaire or the personal conversations, and so this is kind of a guide to interviewing, really. Just, again, gives you a foundation for where to begin in starting these conversations. So if there are any specific questions to note about a condition, you can add those here, or just, anything that might be particularly relevant. And then one fun feature of this book is this family health portrait here. It goes through how to draw a family health portrait, the basic steps. This is meant purely as an example to guide you in doing this later on your own more extensively, to incorporate more relatives and all the generations. There's limited space right here, so you're not going to be able to add all of your brothers and sisters or change around the order too much. But we did want to be able to give you the opportunity to change the names to reflect different nationalities, to change the conditions. So me, I'll put in Vaughn. And how about that? These happen to be my parents' names. Actually, that worked out nicely. Not their dates of birth, but I won't share those. My condition, I had asthma growing up. So I'll put in asthma. You can change the gender for the featured me character, but I'm going to keep it on female. And I'll put in nationality here. And save. You do have to go up and change the name up top to your me character to reflect what you put in the pedigree. So it's not going to be exactly your family, but you can put in some familiar names to get you started. Finally, there's some space here in the back to put in additional resources, anything on family health history, health and genetics, or just community, local resources that you want to include. You can put those all here. And this is what I meant about the back cover. If I don't want to put in all the information here, I just want to put in the organization name and our website. And the email address, Family Health History, fhh@geneticalliance.org. I don't want to put in any of the other information. It still says address, phone, fax, and enter your mission, but that's not going to show up when I choose to download the booklet. You have the opportunity, the space to put in a picture or a logo here on the back. So, if you're customizing it for your family, you can put your family portrait there on the back, or the logo of your organization. So hopefully you have found that pretty straightforward, but again, any feedback and comments on how we can make it even more intuitive are always appreciated. Right here, you just go back to My Books, and you can customize Book 2. So this will save several booklets. You can have lots of different versions for all your, 2 sides of your family or different organizations. You can save multiple copies of each booklet. So the focus of Book 2 is on genetics. So a lot of the first pages of the booklet are not customizable because it's just static content on, the basic genetics 101. What's a gene, what's a chromosome, a little bit about that. A good question someone just brought up is, does it automatically save as I go along? I know it can be a little traumatic not to see a big save button when you're exiting the screen, but anytime you enter new information, as long as you click Save over here in this editing layer, it saves what you're doing. So here I'll put in Genetic Alliance again. That's saved, and now this is saved so I can go back to my books. I can go back to, let me just go back to book 1, to the webinar that I just edited. You will see, once it loads, that everything I put in is saved. I have my little family on the front, my organization name, the quote that I selected. So it saves as you go along. Go back to book 2. Here we go. So you'll see these first several pages can't really be edited, but once you get into the information on health conditions, that's where you can start to customize for your community. So here you can put in a common disease or a single gene disorder that is particular to your family or community. And then we get into the specific conditions that run in the family. The ones we've chosen to highlight are heart disease, asthma, diabetes, cancer, and single gene disorders. A lot of common complex conditions, and then the rare conditions, the single gene disorders. For all of any of these, you can edit risk statistics and resources. So if you have a particular statistic about the rate of heart disease in your community or your family, you can put that in, as well as local resources. Maybe you can put in your family doctor's number or the local hospital. Some of these pages we kept non-editable. So, heart disease, you can edit the risks and the resources, but every booklet on here is going to include heart disease. It's a really common condition, something that runs in a lot of families. That one we felt was important to keep. There are some other ones that we did want to give people the flexibility to switch out for conditions that might be more relevant. So asthma, I can go in here and change my community statistic about asthma. I can change my resource. Or I can choose to switch out this entire page for a different one. So right now, our condition libraries are composed of the conditions that our partners customized. So we had a partner who wanted to put in a section on chronic kidney disease. So we have that here. Again, just like the quotes and the stories, we really want to build up our condition library. As you can see, we only have 4 right now, and we're working to expand those. But if you want to add a condition when you're customizing your booklet, just email fhh@geneticalliance.org, and we would be happy, very happy to work with you just to get the information into the correct format, and we'll add it to the library, and then you and anyone else will then be able to select it. So again, now that I've selected kidney disease, I can edit the statistics and the resources. For cancer, it's like with that asthma page, there are 3 pages on cancer in the book. We have breast, lung, and prostate, but for any of these pages, you can switch them out for a different cancer. If you want to change the order, or if you want to add another type of cancer, you can do so. For this one in particular, it's nice if you choose lung cancer to have in your booklet to keep it on this page 17 because there is space here for the picture. That image doesn't really fit on the other pages, unfortunately. But for now, if I switched it out to colon and rectal cancer on this page, the image goes away. But if I switch it back to lung cancer, then I can restore the image. The smoking image obviously is particularly relevant for lung cancer, maybe not quite as relevant for some of the others. The single gene disorders page, again like the others, those were all the cancers and the asthma. Those conditions were just 1 page, but single gene disorders, we have a little more information here. We have 2 pages for this condition, and again, you can choose a condition from the library. Here we have some more options. We have several different choices for sickle cell. Many of our partners customized this page for sickle cell in slightly different ways. So, if you see something here, even if it's a condition that's already here, that doesn't quite have the angle that you're looking for, just let us know, and we can always work with you to add a condition to the library that you want. So our most recent addition to the library is XLP. Someone from the XLP Research Trust found out about the tool and wanted to add their conditions. So we worked with him last week to get it added, and now they're working on customizing their booklets. And again, resources page, just like in book 1, you can add any resources you want and then customize the information on the back cover. So hopefully, you found that pretty straightforward. I think there's a lot that can be customized to really make it personal for your community, your family, without having to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of the basic information here that's going to be the same for everyone. Family health history, knowing your family health history, and sharing what you learn with your family is going to be important for everyone. So that information is there, and we're just excited to be able to provide this resource that people can use and make their own. From here, I will just go through the download and the printing options. So everything that you've seen me do today is 100% free. You can register for the tool, customize your booklets, download your booklets. Let's download this booklet that we just customized. All of that is done for free. Anyone can log on and do that. You'll see when you click on the download button that there is an option here to share your feedback. As I've been saying, we really welcome that, so I'd encourage you to please click here if you want to share your feedback. It's just a quick survey about customizing book 1. The same link, the same pop-up will show up when you download book 2. It is a different survey for book 1 and book 2, tailored a little bit to the parts that are customizable. So please, if you have a minute, take the time to fill those out. Now it's downloaded my book, and I think it's going to open. So you can customize, download your PDF to email to people, post on a website, or even take to your local printer. I'll show the tool is hooked up to a printer. We have worked with a printer close by here in DC to print the books for all of our partners. They've been really great, and we have it all set up that you can print through the tool to them. But we can only print in quantities of 100 or more. Just the way printing works, the more you print, the cheaper each individual booklet gets, and so to print fewer than 100 copies from the tool would not be cost efficient. So if you're planning to print small quantities just to hand out to your family, then you should take it local. So we have a question: is there any discussion of genetic testing based on family history in the tool? There is a very limited amount of that information. I will show you here in book 2 what we have. It's really the basics. It says that your doctor might recommend testing based on family history. It talks a little bit about newborn screening, but it doesn't go into too much detail on that. But for all of the conditions, and here on this page, it talks about making sure to ask about screenings based on family health history. So there's a little bit of that, and that's a great place to put in the resources section more information if you want more information on genetic testing for a particular condition. This is just the general introduction. It talks about being referred to a genetic counselor or a geneticist, some sort of specialist. Quickly go back, you'll see just when you download, you get a regular high-quality PDF that you can take to a printer, or as I said, email around to your family, post it on your website for organization members to download. Or if you are planning to print large quantities, if you have a really large family and you're going to a family reunion, or if it's for your whole community or all the staff at your organization, you have the option to print them through the website. So you just click Add to Cart, and here's my shopping cart. As you will see, so when the quantity is only 100 booklets, the rate is $3.97 per book. So, but if I were to print 1,000 booklets, the price goes down. As I said, the more books you print, the cheaper they are per book. So, if I want to print 10,000 booklets, they're much cheaper, only 50 cents per book. So I am going to proceed to check out, but not quite go through the whole ordering process because the tool is live at the moment and don't want to get charged for 10,000 booklets for my demo, but it's pretty standard. You just fill in your billing and shipping address, any special instructions, and then proceed to payment. So you can order from the website. It's linked to a printer, and that's the only part of the tool that you will pay for. As I said, customizing it, downloading is completely free, but once you get to the ordering, then obviously you have to pay for printing and shipping. At any time, you can go in and adjust your account information from the tool, all the information that you entered when you registered. You can look at your order history. I haven't placed any orders yet, but I plan when I do my Edelson version, I probably will. And then your shopping cart. So right now I have 10,000 copies of this booklet that we've just customized in my shopping cart. As a reminder, at any point there is a help button down here that'll bring you to kind of a lot of frequently asked questions and some important tips for customization. If you had a question about something that's not here, let us know, because if you had a question about it, it's likely that someone else has a question about it too, and we can always add it to the help as things come up. Just some important tips right here. I think particularly important, don't rush. As I said before, you can come back. It automatically saves, so you can log out if you get distracted, you have an appointment, a meeting, come back the next day, you just want to think over your story. You can take your time customizing it to really get everything in there that you want, make it personal, make it relevant and accessible for your community. Gathering the photos and the stories and the quotes, taking the time to do those interviews, collect and refine the stories, and then put them in. Just a couple of other notes too. It's better not to copy and paste text from Word files. It's only copy from plain text documents just because of the formatting when you go from that into the Flash application. And do just double check for typos and mistakes, because no one, as I said, your books are yours. No one is seeing the stories and quotes that you put in there. So I'd recommend, except for you, so it's helpful to download the booklet before proceeding to ordering, just to make sure that everything you want is in there and everything's correct, so you don't have any typos by mistake. We have another question. Can you give some examples of where organizations have used their tools if there is more time? Great. Said generically, you can use it with your family, you can use it with your community or your organizations. Really, the possibilities are endless. We have had partners do a whole host of things. Genetic Alliance actually had a small grant program last year. In 2008, we awarded $10,000 awards for communities to integrate the use of these booklets, of this family health history information, into existing programs and resources, programs and initiatives. So these partners customized the books and then incorporated them into what they were already doing. And the point of the $10,000 award was because, one, we didn't have all that much money to give out, but two, we didn't want people to build whole new systems around the booklets, around family health history. We wanted it to really be a model of how this information can be incorporated really seamlessly into a whole host of different activities. It's about sustainability. It's about making sure that these projects will continue. So to give a few examples, we had one partner who worked with a local Curves gym. The Curves gym already had a strong community in place, women who go out, they're exercising together, they're chatting while they're doing their circuits, and the gym actually already had kind of an incentive system in place for participating in different activities or taking different surveys. They would get these tickets, and once you get a certain number of tickets, you could redeem them for prizes. So our partner incorporated this discussion of family health history into that incentive system at Curb, so people were being encouraged to attend workshops and collect their family health history, and it's giving a double whammy, the good benefits of knowing your family health history, and then while they're already at the gym. Another example is the Duke Employee Health System. So a huge organization, dozens of thousands of employees going through these health checks over the course of the year, and these family health history booklets were incorporated into the health check program. So when people went to visit with a nurse, they would get this information on family health history and why it's important. We've had partners incorporate the booklets into a medical school curriculum, work with churches, PTAs, get the booklets into local libraries where they're accessible for the whole community. Had follow-up programs after newborn screening, follow-up programs. A lot of disease-specific communities have used this booklet as, some extra information. A lot of the disease-specific organizations, know a lot about the particular condition that you're affected by, and that makes good sense. And these aren't meant to scare, but just to say people, hey, be aware there are some other things. You might be so focused on this one rare condition, but don't forget to, have a healthy diet and take good care of your body, exercise, so things like heart disease, which also might run in your family, you can lower your risk for that. So we have had a couple of questions come in. One seems to be a technical issue with the registration, so I will get in touch with you offline to make sure we get that figured out. The other question was, are community members aware of an increase in health risk due to genetics? The booklet gives information on health and genetics, that basic book 2 and the basic genetics 101, where it does say, the whole point of this is things that run in your family can increase your risk for those conditions. So the books present it as a whole, with genetics, environment, and lifestyle influencing your risk for disease. So I guess if you want to clarify what you mean by community members, but in terms of the booklets themselves, it is presented as there are many factors that influence your health. It's not just genetics, it's not just lifestyle, it's not just environment, but that all of those three things work together. And there's a spectrum, a continuum of conditions. Some are much more influenced by genetics than others. Some, environment plays a stronger role. But these are designed to show people these are things that run in the family. Certain factors, such as a genetic background of it, so family health history, can increase your risk. But there are things you can do to help lower that risk as well. And, we just got in one more question, so I'll answer that quickly and then wrap up. So the clarification was, have the people using the tool been receptive to changing the risk factors based on getting information about increased risk due to family history? That's a great question. So our first round of partners that we customized these booklets with were part of a research project, essentially. They evaluated the utility of the tool and then the utility of family health history as a health intervention. So we had seven community partners who each recruited at least 25 families, which were 2 or more blood relatives. And they took a baseline survey, worked with the booklets for 3 months, or received the booklets and hopefully worked with them for 3 months, and then took a follow-up survey. And we've just gotten some of that data back. And what we've seen so far is that, yes, people are, at least the things that we were looking at, increasing communication within the family based on having this family health history information. They're sharing it more, talking about it more, and hearing family members talk about it more. So in that sense, yes, they've been receptive. We haven't analyzed the part on the lifestyle factors yet, but at the most basic, the communication part, that has changed. And so we are still going to look at what we have in terms of changing their diet habits, because there are a lot of questions in the surveys on nutrition and exercise habits. And so we're still going to look at, we still have yet to analyze those numbers, but at the very basic, communication increased, which is a big first step. Getting people to talk about it hopefully will, get them to change their behaviors. And another question about, do we intend to publish those results? Definitely. We are working on that paper as we speak. We're still finishing up the analyses, as I said, and working on some secondary analyses. But soon, hopefully in the very near future, those results will be out. We're going to do both, the peer-reviewed journal on the data, and then we plan to do a monograph. Genetic Alliance has a monograph series, and we want to put out really a comprehensive look at the project as a whole, because I think it was a pretty unique project in the respect of doing a project at a national level with many individual communities, looking at family health history. Looking at the utility of a tool like this really hadn't been done. So the monograph will be a look from Genetic Alliance perspective as well as from all of our partner perspectives on this national project. So I want to thank you all for being here. I hope you found this informative and that you're able to register and start customizing books for your families and communities. We are always here for questions and feedback. So at any time, you can email fhh@geneticalliance.org or give us a call, and I can help you out with any technical issues or get your feedback of things to incorporate, add to the library, and all of that. All of our past webinars are available at geneticalliance.org as well as in the resource repository, resourcerepository.org. This one will be up there soon with the presentation materials, the slideshow, and up in the resource repository we have all the archived videos of these presentations, so you can watch them again or refer your friends to old webinars that are there if they're on a topic that you were particularly interested in. So thank you very much. Again, my name is Vaughn Edelson, and I am the Programs Manager for Family Health History Project. So thank you very much for all of your questions. And again, any further questions, fhh@geneticalliance.org. Thanks, and we hope that you'll join us again next week, Wednesday, August 26th, same time, same place.